Hello everyone, welcome to your weekly FanTeam video with myself Az and last year's winner of FanTeam season long game, Josh Wooldridge. I won't be able to call you that for much longer, Josh. Well, I mean, unless you win it again, but are you going to win it again?
No, you won't be able to call me for much longer. You were right first time, mate. Yeah, it's good to be back on our Thursday slot. We haven't done it for a few weeks on a Thursday.
No, we haven't.
Here we are.
We did the Champions League last week on Monday, and then I was off for a week, and then I don't even know if we did one before that. So yeah, it has been a while. Hi to everyone who's watching. We've probably got a shorter form video today. We've got as kind of the title suggests, we've got the 3K main event Premier League, which is kind of taken over from the the Monster games. I don't know why I said the Euros. It's essentially a kind of a monster type format, but you just pick 6 players rather than pick a kind of whole team. So we'll talk more about kind of the details of that as we go. I also thought we'd do a bit of a stock check over all of our games because we're playing obviously the second chance game, the main game, the Champions League game. There's a dog who wants to come up. Hang on. This is what the people want. Come on, there he is. Oh.
Yeah, this is better than anything we can produce today, yeah, for sure.
This is the content people want to see. A bit like Focal's dog, if we just fall asleep on that. So yeah, we'll cover off those as well because I mean this is my first year of playing FanTeam properly. I'm enjoying it. I'm getting a bit kind of a bit bogged down with kind of the amount of teams that I've got and having to check it all, and I keep leaving it late and that kind of thing. And also I'm not doing particularly well as well. So obviously the motivation is a bit harder when you're struggling down the bottom of the table. So yeah, I need a bit of motivation from you, Josh, of how I can recover my seasons. And once we're done with those, we'll go back to this the main event and build we'll pick six players. How hard can it be for us to pick 6 players? Right?
That's why I said it might only take 2 minutes for this one. I was going to say just like 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and done. There we go.
Yeah. Although when it's less players, there's more. I don't know because we're going to have to be debating. Fernandes, Sancho, Ronaldo, possibly Son versus Kane, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll get into that in a second. Right, let's start. Well, let's start with let's start with this graphic first. So on the screen is the main event that we're talking about. So there's 2 entry points into this game as usual. There's the €20 entry, which is about £16, and then there's the other one, which is like £1.68. I'm not sure what that is in euro. €3, is it?
€2, mate. It's just divided by 10. They're like divisible by 10 of each other. So yeah.
There you go.
It's a €2 and a €20. So
a €2 and a €20. Perfect. So yeah, you can get involved with those. There's links in the description, so you can play in those if you like. Obviously, as the screen suggests, this is gambling. You're paying money to enter into these tournaments. So 18 plus. Don't gamble beyond your means, and always gamble responsibly. Also, FanTeam have added in MLS. So if you're a fan of MLS, the season is starting. I know absolutely nothing about MLS. There's got to be some like big names still over there, right? Like obviously Gerrard and Lampard and Beckham all went over there. Who's like the big names over in America at the moment?
I genuinely wouldn't be able to
know
one at this point. No. It's just not my strength whatsoever. But I will be donating some money into this pot. So if any of the viewers know anything about MLS, you should really enter this tournament because you'll have a massive advantage over people like me who don't have a clue. So yeah.
Landon Donovan, is he still going? Surely not.
I think he's like 48 or something. Yeah, I don't know.
He was great. Do you remember when he went over to Everton? And he was really good. I had him in my FPL team for a while. He's a really, really good player.
Real throwback, that one, yeah.
Real throwback, yep. So if you are interested in MLS, like Josh says, it's probably a good tournament for you to get involved in because I'll probably enter it as well. And I mean, I play like Elite Syrian and Allsvenskan, and I know absolutely nothing that goes on in that. And yeah, I do pretty terribly. Right, let's talk about the season so far. So obviously you won it last season. Pretty impressive. Very impressive, I should say. This is how you're kind of set up, at this point. So I've got your best sort of performing team on the screen: Pope, Trent, Cody, Says, Kilman, Salah, Saka, Rafinha, King, Kane, and Weghorst. And it's 173rd in the world. I mean, that seems incredible.
Yeah.
Was this about where you were last year?
No, So last year, from game week 16 onwards, I didn't leave the top 5 basically. So
Oh wow,
it was
okay.
like it was just like it just got ahead and stayed ahead somehow. Like that, that's unlikely to happen like every season. Like it's like as in whoever's top or 5th now, like isn't guaranteed by any means to still finish there. You know what I mean? It's like what happened to me was a little bit of a freak occurrence. I think that it just like stayed at the top for the whole time. I was very, very lucky at various points, but 173rd, like I'm still going to do my best to try and win it. Like that's all that I ever think about when I play fantasy. I just want to try and win the whole game. So like I'm like 80 off first, I think, with obviously the triple Wolves defense to come tonight. So if that clean sheet comes in, that could put a dent of 20 into it, you know what I mean, straight away, which that like when you think about it like
that's
that,
my
in little
nightmare.
chunks,
That is.
yeah, it's just like everyone wants different things tonight. It's really interesting actually, considering there's only one game. There's loads of spread, I think, on Wolves defense versus Arsenal defense versus the Arsenal attackers. I think a lot of people have got. Obviously, I've got Saka here, so if he ruins the clean sheet, it's not the end of the world. But I'd definitely rather have the Wolves 1-0, I think. So to talk about this team specifically, I obviously wildcarded this week, which for me wasn't really an option on FPL because I wanted the triple captain. I think a lot of people wanted to triple captain this week, but on FanTeam there's no chips such as that. So I played my wild card looking at the next 5 weeks as like a whole block, and I set up a team that will cover 26 to 30, which I think are 5 of the most crucial weeks remaining in the season, to be honest. And obviously, I've had an absolutely amazing week. It couldn't have gone that much better, really, with Pope and Weghorst. And then, obviously, like I think everyone else except for King has got some kind of return so far, and the 3 Wolves defenders to come.
Yeah.
So this is a dream week. Like I was going to be taking like a -8 or a -12 if I didn't wild card. So I just I just played the wild card, and I'm really happy with my team. It's really well set up for 27 and 28. 29, it's a little bit lighter, but hopefully I'll have 2 transfers then to like bring in some more doublers. And then 30 is 30, I think. I think that's going to be a shallow week for everybody, I believe, with limited fixtures, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you're looking really well set up. So, I mean, you've got a lot of teams entered. I mean, we were talking about this kind of just before we came on. I think one of the things I've struggled with FanTeam is, I mean, we're in very fortunate positions. We get, so the odd free ticket from FanTeam for joining competitions, which is great for trying different games out, all of that. I buy into some myself as well. But I find that I've got a lot now. Like I've got a lot of teams not as many as you, but I've got a lot of teams in the kind of the main season long game, and now only really 2 of them are in the top 10k or something. So I've kind of lost interest in all the others. I'm not even bothering to kind of check those, but seeing them on the list I find it all a bit overwhelming. Checking the different games, checking the different things. I find it all a bit much. How do you kind of deal with that issue? Because the other thing is, I mean, I look at the leaderboard and it's like, check Josh, check Josh, check Josh, check Josh, check Josh. So obviously having lots of teams gives you a big benefit because you're more likely to be in those kind of top places when you've got more teams. It's kind of both a advantage of FanTeam if you're one of those people who wants to invest more in it, but also I think for people who just want to play more casually, maybe it's a bit of a stumbling block. Is that accurate, do you think?
This all resonates with me really well. I think on some of the games when you find in check Josh, you must be on the last page rather than the first page, by the way. But because believe me, when you've got multiple entries, it's just as easy to come last as it is first. And obviously, like there's a lot of hyperbole about like. Obviously, I was lucky enough to come first last year, but I also had some teams that didn't cash last year. You know what I mean? I had 3 or 4 of those, I think, as well. So it's like it's you've got to put focus on both ends of the spectrum, I think. And at the end of the day, it is okay to just dead some teams. Like I know it's not visually pleasing to look at the screen and see like loads of your teams in 20,000, 30,000, but for full transparency, like I've dead ended 5 of my teams. Like I entered 100. 5 of my teams are dead ended now. I'm not touching them. I'm not looking at them. They're dead teams to me. And it is a bit annoying to look at. Like I really don't like that they're just falling further and further down every time I log in. But I do think it's fine, especially if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed or like you think you've just got too many teams. Prioritize the important ones. So like any game you're doing well on, like I mean, if you've had a really good start to the second chance game, for example, put more of your focus on that. Obviously, like it goes without saying, but that's where you've got the most chance of making money if you've had a really good start on a particular game. So yeah, I think at the start of the season, I made a conscious decision to only have my one FPL team, obviously, my one Sky team, and then everything else I've invested into FanTeam. Like every other team I enter in any game will be on FanTeam. I think obviously a lot of people play other games, which is fine, but if you do that, I would recommend going a bit less heavy on FanTeam, I think, and like just making sure your total like exposure to fantasy is like a little bit limited. And unless, of course, you want to just spend 24 hours a day.
I think that's probably what I did. I think I went too all in on FanTeam, and I've just got too many teams. I haven't got that personal attachment to the teams that I have with FPL because I've got so many of them, and obviously don't have the season ranking stuff, and it's based on money. So it's a different mindset you kind of need to be in with FanTeam, I think. And yeah, I think next year when I play, I'll have less teams, and I will try and foster that kind of, because I think I need that kind of relationship with my team to enjoy the game to its max potential. And that sounds really stupid, but like whenever I play league games like Gaffer or even the Elite Syrian, like I got attached to. I enjoyed making my transfers. My dog's going crazy. Sorry, can't get comfy. And I think I don't really have that with FanTeam so much, and I think that's just purely because I've got too many teams. It becomes a chore. You don't want it to become a chore. That's the key thing, I think, with it.
It makes perfect sense, yeah. And obviously, you alluded to it earlier. We are lucky enough to be given free tickets from time to time to different games, which almost means we're playing some games that we didn't even intend to play at the start of the season, which I'm always going to do if it's a free entry, because I think that's lovely of them to do it. And I want to like show some gratitude by at least giving the game a go, you know what I mean? And like trying it out. But yeah, like MLS, I never thought I'd be entering that, for example. And I've been lucky enough to be given a ticket to that. So like, this will be a new experience for me, and I'll probably crash and burn, but I'm going to at least give it a go and do some transfers for at least the first few weeks.
Yeah, same.
See how it goes.
I mean, that's one of the things I like learning about new leagues, and I like I'm playing Gaffer, the championship game, and that's too much because there's too many games. That's what I learned. The championship has too many teams, too many games. I can't keep track of them all. I've missed deadlines. It all kind of goes, to pot. But I'm glad I tried it because I learned about it, and I genuinely really enjoyed Elite Syrian and learning about the Norwegian league. It's very different, But basically, when a player starts performing well, they get sold. And then they're gone in January. So it's a very different, or a big name arrives and it's like heralded and they get like a 14 million price tag and they absolutely go on and smash it. Or in the case of Pellegrino, if you don't play Lisa, and he did not. Came with a big price tag and didn't do well at all. So yeah, I think the idea of having FanTeam and looking at the different leagues is a good way, is a good gateway into learning about other competitions across the world.
Yeah. I also love the weekly stuff as well, because you can choose to do some entries on weekends where you're very bored, or weekends where you just are focusing on the football, and then other weeks you can forego it, obviously. So you can just, if you're out all weekend, you're obviously not that bothered about entering extra teams, you know what I mean? So I like that, like where you can almost shift focus based on how busy or unbusy you are on a particular weekend or whatever.
I completely agree. I think it'd be nice to have like a core couple of teams that I play and get quite invested in, and then every week or every other weekend or whatever play the dailies, because the dailies are a lot of fun, and that's what we touch on a lot in these podcasts that we do. We build the teams together and we watch them. I really like that element to it.
Yeah, me also, and obviously like the £20 buy-in, for the 1 million prize pool for the season long. I've always got some affiliation to that particular game. And to be honest, it's one of the best like low buy-in versus high prize competitions I've ever seen in any game on anything. So like, I think I'll always be sort of attached to that and always like really go hard trying to chase the impossible win again. But yeah, and that's the one I would really like to push to others to, like, if you do have this spare money, obviously it is gambling, but if you do have like 20 or 40 pounds or something, I think that's the one where you could win a life-changing amount of money. And I think that's the best competition they run at the moment, and I can't wait for next season already. So like, as I said, I don't think I can win this year, but I want to try and win next year, you know what I mean? So yeah.
You never know, mate. You never know. Right, let's come through. Sorry. Any more
I was just going to say that there's a few things in the chat, so I obviously just want to say hello to like Charlie, IRL, and Paul, and then Will asked when the price rises will be, and they'll actually be tomorrow around midday, I would say. So that's just a bit of information on that one. It's always the day after the last scheduled game, basically. So Arsenal Wolves is the last game of the game week, so the price rises will happen tomorrow, basically. Okay.
I should definitely know that, but luckily I've got my sidekick here, so. You can help out.
You couldn't help yourself, could you? You literally couldn't help yourself.
Been waiting for that. Second chance team. This is the team you've got on the screen. You've got Pope, Walker, Tarkowski, me, Laporte, Cancelo, your triple City defenders. Ward-Prowse, Salah, Bowen, Rafinha, and Kane. And your team is, am I reading this right? 316?
It's 266, I think it was. It might be 316. I don't know.
Sorry, it's really small on my screen. 266. So again, a team nestled highly up again. The rest of your team's doing rubbish though.
This is something I wanted to highlight. So I think a lot of my teams are going to be dead within a few weeks on this game. Like the ones that aren't doing so well, I think it's almost like not worth the effort for the rest of the season in some cases, like because they're just not going to cash. Yeah. Especially the one that's in last. Like I basically didn't have Salah on any of my bottom four teams, and Salah has single-handedly destroyed some people's seasons this week, and I think that's happened
because he was hard to get if you didn't go for that straight away, and a lot of people had him on their bench or whatever and accepted the whatever points came in for Jota or whoever, but most of my teams didn't have him either.
Yeah. So this is case in point here of like what we were talking about in the previous slide or whatever. Like so, like this is the team I'm going to focus on second chance, the one that's in 266th or whatever, and I'm probably going to forego all my other teams before long. And I really like, obviously this team looks really fun with the two triple defenses. The Burnley defense couldn't have gone any better this week. Like Ben Mee's points are the most insane thing I've ever seen on fantasy, I think, like over just two games. And it's all. And they've obviously got another double next week, the Burnley boys. So this team's actually in really nice shape for next week as well with the triple defence. I mean, I don't have Weghorst, but like I'm happy to just have the three defenders, I think, and hope for the miracle cleans again. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this one can go, actually.
Yeah, nice. And finally, your Champions League team. Now, this is doing well. Absolutely ridiculous. Mendy in goal, Robertson, Trent, Laporte, Rudiger, Cancelo. So 6 defenders all getting returns. Salah, Mahrez, captain, and Havertz all scoring. And then Mbappe. And who's the last one?
Ramos from Benfica.
From Benfica.
I originally picked Yaremchuk, but he got auto sub to this Ramos guy who I've never heard of, but he got an assist for me. So yeah, I got 11 out of 11 players with returns, which is I've never had that before ever.
And it's sixth in the world.
It's sixth. Yeah, it's obviously a dream start. It is only week 1, obviously, but I've never had this before, and I'm completely overwhelmed by this team, to be honest. I've literally never seen 11 out of 11 returns on one of my teams.
And it's not even first.
Yeah, I know. I'm 0.2 off the guy in first. So
are you 0.2?
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, it's all very close at the top, and I mean, dare I say, I'm probably only like 5 points clear of someone in 100th. You know what I mean, or something.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'll bask in this glory for this 1 week anyway. In 6th place, I couldn't have asked for a better start, obviously. And I'm sort of happy with the team in a lot of spots for the second legs of the same fixtures as well. And then remember, guys, obviously we get to wild card after the last 16 finishes. So like I'll get to pick a completely new team based on the draw for the next round. So, let's hope I have another good week next week, and then I'll start to get the mini jitters again, I suppose, and I'll feel the pressure for picking my wild card team, for the week after. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to keep the dog off my lap because he's restless and he's digging into me. So hang on, one sec.
It's what the people came for. It's all good. Like no one's gonna complain. Yeah.
I feel so mean.
Oh. We don't get this on every stream, but it's nice to see him make an appearance. Actually,
how's that for professionalism? Yeah. Oh, just knocked my headphones out.
What were you saying about professionalism? Sorry.
Yeah, he doesn't normally want on my lap during a stream, but
he wants his moment in the sun today. Yeah,
he does. Yeah, he wants to be a celeb. Let's have a quick look at some of my teams. So we've talked about yours. You are the kind of the pro, the expert. You're definitely not my sidekick. You're definitely the master. You're the Batman. I'm the Robin, unfortunately. Don't stand by that. But let's take a look at my teams as a more kind of casual player, or someone who doesn't really know what they're doing so much. So my best team in this season-long game is 1,211. Sarr, Aït-Nouri, Van Dijk, Trent, Gabriel, Son, Salah, Fernandes, Bowen, Lacazette, and Jimenez. So I wildcarded this team this week and got a little rise as well. I mean, my team was a complete mess, so I brought them all in. The rest of my team, though, like I've got two others kind of within the top 10k, but to be honest, I think I'm just going to focus purely on this team now going forward. So yeah, thoughts? Look all right.
Sorry, mate, I was on mute. Yeah, obviously, like you've got a lot of players to come tonight is the first thing I noticed. I mean, like it's like 5 players tonight, isn't it, on the team showing on screen with the Arsenal and Wolves. Yep. So the week's not over yet, and I think a lot of people with really high scores have typically might only have a couple or one player to play tonight. Obviously, you've got the 5, so I don't know what you're looking for. Obviously, like it could be any result that benefits you, couldn't it? Really, with the 2 strikers and the 3
it will be whatever
defensive.
Result benefits me the least possible way. What 1-1,
2 midfielders scoring, yeah,
yeah, Pedro Neto and Odegaard or something like that. Yeah,
I like the. Yeah, go on, mate.
I was just going to say, if this team can get into the top 1,000 tonight, then I'll feel pretty good about it going forward.
Yeah, and like I say, it's an ideal time to shift focus, like you said, to just put in all your eggs on this one team. Like, it's the main reason I enter lots of teams at the start of the season, to be honest. So, like, I can just have that 1 or 2 that does well, and then I can really focus on that. Like, that becomes my team that I attach to. Like you were talking about FPL, like that's the one I get attached to, and it's obviously no different to the others at the start, but it's if it's doing well, it's the one I want to put all my time into. So yeah, this team is obviously like, I think you're going to have quite a few blanks for next week, which is quite an interesting thing that you'll have to navigate through with obviously all the Arsenal and Liverpool. If you're not going to wild card, I'd be half tempted to just hold them and maybe play with less next week, because the Arsenal and Liverpool players are so beneficial for like week 29, for example.
Yeah. Well, I've already wild carded it, so I wild carded it this week. So
that's what I mean. Yeah. So I mean, like, I think you basically have accepted that you're going to be just playing with 1 or 2 less players next week, and then the weeks after you'll reap the rewards of that. So I think that's I think it's really nicely set up, and I love the Wolves' defense. I think they've looked amazing defensively, and you obviously reaps the rewards of the Van Dijk pick as well, right at the end yesterday.
Yeah, that didn't. That's the thing as well. When you're playing these different games, you're kind of happy with it in one format and not happy with it in FPL. It feels a bit strange, but yeah, I guess it was good for FanTeam, that goal, and Robertson owners as well. Getting 2 assists from that game will be pretty happy. So yeah, that last minute goal was a big swing, I think, particularly for wildcarders who picked up one of those 2. Danny Jones has called us boring, Josh. Not very nice, is it?
That's probably true about me, but it's all good. Like I think these, we won't be for everyone, of course. So if that's how it is, that it's all good. Maybe you'll find the next one more interesting.
Probably not, to be honest. Hard man to please, old Danny Jones. My second chance team, 2,000 in the world. I think I wildcarded this one as well. So I'm actually quite well set up. You know, I had Salah captain, my only team where I had Salah. And I did wildcard. There is wildcards in second chance, isn't there? I'm pretty sure I did wildcard it. Yeah, I did play wildcard. Yeah, so Sard, Trent, Sace, Cancelo, Roberts, Salah, Fernandes, Bowen, Coutinho, Jimenez, and Weghorst. I did this with, like, I'm not joking, less than a minute left until the deadline. I stuck this team together, and I actually think it's pretty good. I mean, I've got, you know, I've got Trent, I've got Salah and Trent, who obviously don't have the game, but I think pretty much everyone's going to be in that position anyway. Yeah, the rest of it looks all right. Got my Wolves players in with 30, you know, with literally 40 seconds to go. I think I stuck together a half decent side. I was quite happy.
Yeah, you've got your Weghorst captain for next week, I think.
Yep.
The 2 Liverpool, I think you've got to play with 9 with this team and like roll the transfer. I think it's the sort of the best way to deal with this, and try and bank a few transfers for when we get to the difficult part, which is like 29 and then maybe 31 and beyond kind of thing. Yeah, I think this is like a team that has to roll next week. Prem tipster. So like he's got a question. He said, when should he split his multi-entered teams? So I think he's got like a block of 10 teams that are all the same. I would really recommend wait until 36 or 37 if you can. And then just split it with like 1 or 2 weeks to go, where you can experience some really high variance of just picking a wild captain that just comes off in one of them, for example, and then you can maybe fly up the ranks. What I do as well is I don't split the ones that aren't doing that well. Like it's just extra admin, and it will just waste extra time. So like the ones that aren't doing so well, I don't want to commit to splitting them now, because that means like I have to do 10 extra decisions every week from now till week 38. You know what I mean? So per week. So I don't split my teams till week 36
as long as
or
possible,
37.
basically.
Yeah, exactly. Well, wait till 36 or 37, where you think you might be a bit torn on a captain. You might still have wild card left, and you can wild card them in different directions, or you can just use different transfers. But I would wait till 36 or 37 to split them. And then Moyen asked a question: what happens with players not featuring in the next game week? Well, on the second chance game, you won't get anyone on for them, as Paul covered in his response there. So while we're talking about Az's team, he's going to play with 9 next week on this team by the looks of it, just with Salah and Trent not getting any points. On the season-long game, obviously, this is what you have a bench for. So hopefully you'll get some bench players on for Salah and Trent, and you might end up still get putting 11 out. So, yeah, that's the answer to that question for both games.
Very good, Josh. Very, very astute looking in the chat for questions. Final one for me is my Champions League team. It was all great until United scored in the 80th minute. I had 2 Atletico Madrid defenders, like I said I would last week, Oblak and Savic. Van Dijk, Alonso, Rudiger, Pulisic, who we talked about, came in. Sterling captain. Kroos, who didn't do anything. Tadic, Lewandowski, and Mbappe. I had 2 other teams. Both of them had Lewandowski captain. He's like the only like main player not to actually get anything, which I was really surprised at. But 491 with this team, so and 700 ish with my other side as well. So yeah, fairly decent position for those 2 teams. Decent start.
You've had a lovely start here, and as you say, very unlucky with the late United goal. I said to you when we spoke last, I think I was praying that this game just finished 1-1 with like sort of dead scorers, and that's what happened. I feel like I got away with that. I couldn't call the game, so I thought Atletico don't score many. Man United usually concede, and Man United looked terrible at the time of locking our teams in. So like I just avoided it, and I think it paid off so far. But maybe you'll get the clean sheet in the second legs for the Atletico boys.
Yeah. Maybe indeed. Right, let's move over to picking our 6 players. You think this is going to be really quick. I think we're going to disagree on who we get, and we could be here for ages. Let me just find the thing. It's there. Let's move over to this. Okay. Ross Wheeler's just in the chat just saying never played this before. Is it good? Well, you were a bit late on the season-long game to get involved in that. The kind of the entry points for you are probably this game we're going to talk about now, which is the 3K main event. So there's a €3,000 prize pool for you to get involved in. You pick 6 players across the matches on Saturday, and this is a kind of a standard weekly thing that FanTeam offer with different games going on. Or if you want to get involved in the Champions League game, it's the late reg. So if you're watching Champions League football, you can basically get involved in the Champions League game. You get 95% of the average score. Is that right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yes. Yep. And then you can kind of take your team on from there. So you've got the knowledge of you arm yourself with the knowledge of what you've seen in the previous games. Like, well, Man City have battered Sporting and who they're going to put out in that game. You know that Bayern struggled against Salzburg, for example. Could that be a repeat, or do you think Bayern is going to come and absolutely hammer them in the home game? So yeah, you can kind of, the late reg are interesting because they let you kind of, you don't, you get less than the average, but you have more information to take forward. If you are interested in the Champions League game, if anyone's listening to this and wants to get involved in the Champions League game, Josh and I did a video on it last week. So check back on that for rules and prizes and all that kind of stuff. Right, 6 players, Josh. We got these games to choose from: Brentford, Newcastle, Brighton, Villa, Palace, Burnley, United, Watford. The standout fixture's got to be United, Watford, right?
Yeah, so this, I think you've approached it in the right way. So I think the first thing to think about is like, who do you want to pick as your captain? That your captain gets 1.5x the score and your vice captain gets 1.2x the score. So you sort of want someone who you think will do really well in both the captain and the vice captain slots, just so like you get that extra bit of benefit for both of those positions. So like I think Man United attackers is a really good way to start.
I mean, the obvious two are what's going into lots of people's FPL wildcard teams. Well, they're picking one of Fernandes or Sancho. I guess both. Seems
a
lot of money, but
yeah, I think any one of them can go off at any week. Like, and you'd hope. Like, I mean, in the reverse fixture of this one, it was the really funny result where Watford won 4-1, I think, or whatever it was. But I don't see that repeating here. I really do think Man United will win this game. And what you're hoping for if you pick Fernandes, for example, is that it's quite a convincing win, and obviously he's in and amongst all of the attacking returns. So fingers crossed on that one.
Can you remember the last time United had a convincing win? I can't. Spurs match when Solskjaer was in charge.
No, I mean, but there's like different. Obviously, like they beat Leeds 4-2 at the weekend. That can't be described as a convincing win.
Definitely not convincing. No.
But it was 4 goals, which is what we would be looking for here if we picked Bruno. You know what I mean? And let's be clear: Leeds are the worst defense in the league at the moment, and I don't think it's close. But like, I think Watford are probably in the tier just above that. So hopefully, I mean, Watford lost 4-1 to Palace last night, didn't they? I think in the end. I mean, that was sort of a few late goals, but.
It was a bit surprising because their stats, their defensive stats, actually been impressive. 2 clean sheets under Hodgson as well, which didn't have any before he took charge, and they looked like more. They just looked a bit more solid, and that match was. I was not expecting Palace to score that many, to be honest, in that game, especially without Edouard as well.
I wasn't either. I thought both teams would score, but I didn't think it was going to be anything like 4-1. I thought maybe 2-1 or something, but there was 2 late goals, so it was probably when Watford were chasing the game and like Palace just broke away with Zaha at the end. But so should we make a decision then? Should we go Bruno or Sancho at least to start with, or should we just put both in?
I've stuck them both in for now, but we probably won't be able to afford that. Bearing in mind as well that when you captain or vice captain a player, their price increases based on that. So 1.5 times extra for your captain. So you can see if I tip my captain on Fernandes, he now goes up to 19.95 million, which is like a third of the budget or something as the most expensive player you can pick this week. So this is this kind of format. You've got to make these choices because you think you can afford a team and you captain one, and then suddenly your budget's gone.
So I think this is where we now need to go onto almost the last pages and try and find the value players to try and enable this. I think my 2 suggestions, well, I think there's 3 actually. So I think Weghorst is really well priced away at Palace. I think he's 7.3, which seems very, very good for I think we get sort of 10 million average a player on this, don't we? So 7.3 is quite a bit below the line, I think. And then similarly, I don't mind Chris Wood away at Brentford. I think he has been unlucky not to score so far, and I think he's like an enabler. He's a very cheap price, but there's plenty to pick from. I mean, Danny Ings is 8.1 million. I think that's really good as well. I think Villa hopefully can get back to scoring. It's just like which of these.
No safety net with Ings though.
No, you'd pick Watkins for 0.1 more, I think. But the important thing to think is you will see all 4 lineups for this. So you'll be able to change it an hour before. Okay. Yeah, so you'll be able to change it at 2:00. My preference would be Ings if both are starting, I think. But only if he's actually in the 11, of course.
Yeah, I mean, Gerrard, made a couple of changes, didn't he, for the last match? Didn't help. They were poor again. And I would imagine Watkins comes back in for this match. But, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, Villa was so good, and then 2 really bad performances. And coming into Brighton with our worst performance of the season as well, against Burnley, losing that, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, I'm worried about Coutinho. So Coutinho's 7.9. I think we should have him just because I think he's very capable of just picking us off, set
I love it,
and everything. Yeah,
he's a great price.
Yeah,
and then again, like I'm pretty sure Watford are going to score at United. Now you can obviously attack that with either Dennis or Sarr. I think those are the 2 key ones. But I think we're going to have like too much budget for that almost, aren't we? How much have we got left?
Are we back to picking Sarr every week again? Have we regressed back to the start of the season when you maybe pick him every week for our monster teams?
well, he's back. He's back now, isn't he? And he is.
6.9. Yeah.
How much have we got left for the? So if you put Coutinho in, how much have we got left?
We could afford. We could afford Fernandes captain, Sancho vice, Coutinho, Sarr, Weghorst and Wood.
Yeah, and then what's left?
1.19.
Okay, so yeah, we can't captain Sancho because we need to put 6 players in, and we need the.
No, that is 6. That's with 6, with Fernandes captain and Sancho vice.
Oh, who's in the last lot? Was it Saar?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah,
Fernandes, Sancho, Coutinho, Sarr, Weghorst, Wood.
awesome. Yeah, I mean, is there any upgrades we can make here? I mean, I'm looking at it. I'm like,
I mean, Wood is the one I'm looking at and thinking, why the hell have we got Chris Wood in our side? But
yeah,
looking around, I mean, I wouldn't mind a bit of Gallagher.
yeah.
But he's 10-5.
Yeah, we can't afford that. I think even Trossard's just too much as well. And I mean, would he play? Like, we're not sure whether he's in the team week on week. Obviously, we do get to see the lineup, but would you be interested in Trossard if he was starting? Or
No.
what about McAllister? No, still no.
No, I'm not interested in Brighton, to be honest. Attacking wise, we can't score. We'll concede. I think Brighton are a hard avoid. It's a bit like the United Atletico game without the prestige. I just think we're evenly matched. We're just going to cancel each other out. It's a hard game to call, both off the back of bad performances. Coutinho's the best player who plays for either side, so he's the kind of standout. I do think Gallagher's a good pick though. I think what if we take Wood out, put Gallagher in, and take the vice off Sancho?
We could do that. I think. Yeah, if you change the vice to like Coutinho, like you had before, or maybe even one of the others.
430k off. So we could do maybe Zaha instead of Gallagher. There you go. So Fernandes, Sancho, Coutinho, Sarr, Zaha, Weghorst.
Yeah, I mean, Zaha's just came into form in like the last 5 minutes of the game. I think really like it was. He wasn't looking too lively before that, but he obviously got a haul in the end, which is pretty funny for like someone who only did well for 5 minutes of a double game week. But
I briefly considered him. I briefly considered him for my FPL team, but didn't go there.
I had him in 1 or 2. Yeah. He had the 2 games, and he's the nailed player for Crystal Palace, isn't he? Given that Gallagher was out of the first game, so I think he was the default Crystal Palace choice, really, the one who I thought was going to start both. But yeah, he paid off the faith right at the end. So yeah,
he did. Yep. Cool. Right, I'm entering that. That wasn't too bad. You were right. If that had been the whole video, we would have been done in about 5 minutes. But luckily, we talked about loads of other stuff as well. Hopefully, people have enjoyed it. Danny Jones has apologised. Says that we shouldn't take him too seriously. But these words hurt, Danny. So bear that in mind. Josh, thanks for joining me. We'll be back again next week to talk about whatever's out really. If there's a monster game out, if there's another one of these, or we can talk about Champions League as well. But yeah, we'll be back in our normal slot next week. But good to speak to you, Josh, and I'll see you soon.
You too. Thanks, everybody.